Okay, so Newsroom developer is basically a developer, front-end developer with coding skills. It would help to have a little back-end knowledge as well. And basically what you contribute is that you create storytelling templates for different stories. And also the second part of your role is to create data-driven visualizations to support the stories. I think the biggest challenge in being a newsroom developer is that you're working within an industry that hasn't acquired any sort of relationship with tech, with the tech world at all. So there's a lot of communication barriers. The timelines, project timelines, are also very different.
Yeah.
You know, a developer or anybody in the tech industry has a very specific way of doing things.
Yeah.
A newsroom has a very often opposing way of doing things. So often linking up when a developer needs content versus when it's actually ready for deadline is a very different story. So I think that is probably the biggest challenge, is syncing the two worlds together. The data visualization, I guess, is interpreting a portion of the data so that it's visualized and it tells some sort of, or it highlights some sort of element of what you're trying to tell.
Okay. What do you like most about working for CodeFacing?
Okay, I think I like most about working for CodeFacing and most about the role that I was put in was that I'm being able to use the skills that I have with development, just kind of straightforward, that you would end up in some commercial industry. I'm being able to use it towards something, toward a tool that's going to live further, and I'm being able to see how something technological, such as a website or a tool or visualization, can be used and implemented and integrated into different working environments, such as a story, a journalistic story.
Yeah. Okay, what would you say most motivates you to do what you do?
I think that element of impact, that we're working on tools and projects that are going to go out in communities, and communities are going to use them to improve their own lives, or at least that's what we hope, or that's what our aim is by anything we create. So that the fact that we have access to impact and we can reach people. Yeah, no, I definitely do. I would like to, obviously, one nice thing about Code for South Africa is that we have a team of people who have very diverse skills and come from very diverse backgrounds and working experiences. And I think that one of my goals, and it seems like a very strange goal because it's not directly linked to my work here, but it's being able to learn how to better work and leverage the resources that you have internally, and be able to share skills and find ways to be a part of projects that I never thought as a developer I could be a part of or play a role in. Okay, specifically, Ray Joseph, my boss. He's a great journalist. He's been around since the dawn of journalism, I guess we could call it that. But he was a specific mentor because he kind of saw what I could do, and he saw my potential, and he offered me a position that would be best suited so that I can converge with other fields. So the fact that he is able to see potential in that sense, even though he's had a long career, and he's able to see new opportunities and stuff. And I think that that is definitely one of the people that influenced my role. Cheesy, I've always loved computers. Got my first computer when I was like 3 or something. So I've been ticking away at it. When I was in high school, I really loved art, and I loved film, and I loved all of those things. And basically, I guess a lot of what I loved about it was the idea that I could make it. That very creative process. So when I was in high school, I kind of got Photoshop and stuff, and I would play around with it, and eventually I got really good with graphic design and stuff like that. Then I decided, why don't I just study this and make a career out of it? So I did that, and then after my studies abroad in graphics and multimedia, I decided the one aspect that I haven't touched was the internet, the place where I'm on all the time. And I thought it would be nice to be able to do that. And then I saw UCD offered a course in that with Marion, and I decided that that was probably the best option for my future. And it's since played out, because it brings in so many different elements, because the internet is a space that houses many different types of content. And I think that was being able to control that platform will give me access automatically to all of those. I studied at an international university called University of Creative Technology. That was in Malaysia. and basically I studied creative multimedia, which is video animation, sound. Okay, so I got my job in a very strange way. I was supposed to do masters this year, and Marion actually had recommended that I attend this internship, well not an internship, but be a part of this data journalism academy that was running. And I came to the well, I was accepted to be a part of it. I came here and basically I saw that there was a lot of opportunity for what I do to be used in these different ways. And through a long process, I eventually ended up with a job offer here. Definitely, I mean, if I didn't do web design and developing, I definitely wouldn't be here if I didn't have, if I hadn't invested as much time into the design aspect and the look and feel and like just graphic design, you know, that helped inform my web design. Like, it's like if I didn't have the design quality to my very practical coding of it, I definitely wouldn't have been able to be here. Yeah, okay, so as a newsroom developer, I think there's 3 things that will be very valuable. Okay, first is the hard skills. So you need to be able to code. You need to know your JavaScript, your HTML, your CSS. You need to have at least decent design capacity. So even if you're not a graphic designer or haven't formally trained, that you do understand design and user experience. User experience is also very important, I've realized, while I'm from project to project. You kind of want to improve people's ability to quickly get the information that you intend for them to get and to communicate it clearly, so user experience and design. And the third one is it helps, because as a newsroom developer you are working with journalists and you are working with stories. So it helps to I studied film, so I have a good idea of how to string together a story, a narrative, and then I at least touched on media in enough ways for me to understand kind of the do's and don'ts of journalism. And what makes a good story, and how should stories be told, and what should the priorities be, and the fact that it's driven by an agenda and stuff like that. So it's useful to have that combination of the 3 elements, like the media background, the film background, the storytelling, and the coding. Yeah. I would say talent. I think, well, I'll choose what to highlight here, but I think your ability to adapt and quickly adapt and to communicate with the team that you're working in. That is the most important. It's, if you come from a developer background, you have a very particular way of doing things. Again, the newsroom has their way of doing things. And you must be able to adapt and maintain how you do things, but adapt it to what is needed. You need to be able to identify that is the need right now, and I need to deliver on that particular need. It's not about processes, it's not about this, it's not about that. There's a deadline, there's a need, and I need to be here. So having a very open and flexible mindset about how you conduct yourself in the workplace, I think that is the most valuable thing. And also, the other thing is value, how you interpret value. Every contribution, especially when you're a newsroom developer and you're working in a team that is probably mostly not what you do, so you're journalists, researchers, whatever, photographers, and stuff like that. Everybody has a valuable role to play, and it's about being able to recognize and appreciate the value that the team brings. Like, this is not something that you can control, it's like a team effort. So it is a new field. The demand currently is very high because there are a lot of newsroom developers that don't have, well, there's a lot of developers that don't have enough of a background in storytelling, media and film, or anything along those lines, more than computer science kind of programmers. So they don't have an understanding of how it can be used in the newsrooms. They're not exposed to that world at all. So either they don't know that the opportunity exists, or they're not actually that qualified to engage in that kind of environment as well. Yeah, so I think that because of that, it's very difficult to find people and to find the right people, and that's why there's such a high demand. Again, it is a new field as well. It's a new occupation. And so newsrooms are very much still trying to create that opportunity for people. I think there are sorts of developers in newsrooms. I mean, Media 24 has a hell of a lot, but they're not a newsroom developer. They are developers in the newsroom.
So more like
heading online,
but
not using it for the purposes of storytelling. So there is that distinction, and that's a very important distinction to make. So the kind of the very specific newsroom development, not just the development in newsroom, that's part of the online or tech team.
Okay.
These are two different roles, and I think that it's very, sometimes newsrooms don't understand that there's a big difference between the two. Some of them would be qualified to be this, some of them would be better suited where they are. It's pretty much a grey area, it's pretty much being defined, but the fact that this is a very real career and newsrooms want people in this career, there's a high demand in that. Okay, so I think the most important, I wouldn't say it's a project in particular, but it was a very technical thing that I was involved with, was we had created stories, we had written up stories that were data driven, and we needed to present, well, we needed to be able to control the narrative where the content is placed, where the images are placed. So a lot of the content management systems, the CMSs of newsrooms, are not suited to being able to flexibly position like images, videos throughout. That's why you always have like these, the videos are almost always at the top or at the bottom. It's because that's how the CMS template is structured.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So we had to find a way to be able to create the document, you know, the template ourselves, and then create an embed that would work in their CMS and stuff like that. So that would be my most valuable project, because I got to actually understand the challenges that if you do want to do a different kind of storytelling and you want to put it out on these major platforms, that you understand that they are working also with limitations, and you have to, it's not about, well, we want to change this, it's about how do we make something that's going to work for them. Half. So when you study, well, I should hope that it's the same everywhere, but it was the same in Marian's course. When you study web development, it's pretty much, Marian always said she's going to teach us how to learn, and that's going to be the most important thing that we take away, because she can't give us all the skills. And that is so true, like being able to self-study something. So the foundation of this is what you need to know, that's what I got from my studies, but the extra effort I put in, the extra skills, the practice, the what else can I do, that came, I guess, from myself. But the mapping and all of those things, those were little offshoots in my time when I was part of the academy. So things like, oh, this tool exists, but then I'll go off and go learn it. Basically, like, you know, you're going to need to know this, you're going to need to know this, you're going to need to know this, but being able to do it properly, that's, at the end of the day, that's always going to be up to you. How good you are and how far your mind stretches to come up with, like, what else can we do? So it's easy to be a freelance web designer and get lots of small projects, because there's such a great need in our country for, you know, reliable people. So the challenge is convincing people that they actually should pay for what you do. Because lots of people are like, it's just a website, it's a couple of pages, it's like a text document. You know, people don't understand monetary-wise the value of a website and how much hours are spent going into it and stuff like that. So I think, you know, societies,
they need to ask
ignorance about the tech world, and especially, you know, basic front-end web development, their inability to understand what that means and what it entails is the difficult part, communicating that to people and being like, well, actually, that's a lot of my time, I'm spending hours, I'm spending days on this. This is what it's worth, actually. You know, you're going to get a fully functional thing. I'm going to throw in training, I'm going to do this and that. That is, so it's also better to operate as a company figure. Then this is just a little piece of advice, and then just like your name and